Hey guys, Camp for 15 back at it with another video for you guys. Back with another One Piece anime episode review for you guys. As we are back with the first episode of One Piece in 2023 after 2 week break since we last got One Piece. Um Great to see One Piece again. Great episode. More visually stunning animation we got, and it was absolutely beautiful what we freaking got this week. In this week's episode for One Piece, we have Zoro finally coming back to the battle. So we get Sanji and not King. Well, yeah, King. Sanji and Zoro fighting King and Queen. You get a reveal drop about King's race. We potentially get some lore about Zoro's heritage that seems like his heritage may have actually came from Wano, and the fact that Zoro in a way might actually be related to Ryuma, which is a coincidence because if that's the case, he held his great ancestor's sword, Shunsui, pretty much. So that was absolutely crazy. This episode again, Toei knocked it out of the park. They started the year off with a bang in terms of the animation. Just absolutely great with everything I saw. Like, all the good moments were absolutely just beautifully animated. Just from the aspect, like, Toei's really been going balls to the wall crazy with the animation since we got to the Wano arc, especially in terms of what we've been getting as of late in terms of this whole as I'm looking for this Zoro's ancestor's name. What is it? It's just been this entire thing with how the animation has looked so good. I really appreciate Toei going all in, using their budget. And I found his name. I found his name so I can remember, because I did not take notes in this video. There we go. Anyways, yeah. So, story point of the episode. We get pretty much where we last left up. You remember last time we had the most recent episode of One Piece. Sanji was pretty much trying to hold off King and Queen. So then Zoro was ready to come back to the fight. So yeah, it pretty much, and then we had the last episode end off in the way where it looked like King was gonna take out Zoro right then and there, and that looks like what he's going to do. He looks like he charges up his fist, and then pretty much a fist of flame. He looks like he's going to freaking just destroy Zoro and the other samurai right then and there. Sanji's too slow to arrive there because Queen ends up getting in his way. And all of a sudden Marco gets involved and he blocks King's attack. In a way, he's pretty much exhausted, which old man Hio, he's like, wait, I thought he reached his physical limit. He did. He's just in a way just buying time and holding off King so Zoro can be able to get back into the fight. But an interesting thing we see with Marco and his character this week, especially with King's character, pretty much Marco's like, I heard of a story. I was always told about a story of, on the top of the red line, there were these gods up there. There were like these very ancient gods, and I think your race is something to that. Now, the reason why Marco brings this up is later in the episode, Marco flashes back to a moment when he had a discussion with Whitebeard, where Whitebeard makes the mention, like, yeah, I heard a long time ago, actually, there were actually people that lived on top of the Red Line way before Marie-Joie and the Celestial Dragons lived up there, and they were actually gods up in there. And Marco at the time, they were just drinking, and Marco was drunk, and he was like, oh, come on, Pops. That's just a freaking fabrication. What the hell are you talking about that there were gods up there on top of the Red Line before the creation of Marie-Joie? And we see in a part of a fight, before, Sanji clashes with Queen, Queen makes the mention because he's talking about like, oh, the Germa 66 thing, which I'll talk in a bit. But he makes the mention. He's like, heck, I don't even care. I don't care if you're a race or anything. Heck, I don't even care if you're a Lunarian. And King gives him that side look like, what the frick did you just say? Um, so it seems like King is this race called a Lunarian, and apparently, I'm guessing these Lunarians lived on top of the Red Line before the Celestial Dragons came in, the world government came in, and probably eradicated them from existence. That obviously more than likely. It seems like more than likely the Lunarians have ties to obviously the Void Century. The world government, obviously, if they were making a station home base on Marijua, well, they had to have gotten in a war with the Lunarians, and obviously, they overpowered the Lunarians. Now, it seems like King is one of the more interesting species, or is one of the last remaining members, and it's interesting because if you remember, Big Mom made a mention to King like, I would like to have your race, why don't you join my family? I want you to join my ranks because you're a very interesting race. Because you remember, Big Mom was very interested in King and everything, so it's interesting from the standpoint where this Lunarian story point could go. But it seems like we got a legit race name for King. But anyways, Marco's stalling makes it to where Zoro ends up getting back into the battle. You have a nice, just wonderfully animated scene, especially when Sanji gets in the way. They pretty much Sanji kicks Queen, Zoro slashes through King, and everything's all great and everything. It was a great scene, absolutely great scene. Pretty much Luffy's right hand and left hand man, his two best people in his crew, pretty much taking it to pretty much Kaido's best crew. This shocks everybody. Like, oh, did he really did it? But obviously, no, they really didn't. If anything, King and Queen look like they barely took any damage, which, funny enough, they make the mention. Queen's like, yeah, if you thought that actually was going to take us down for the count, well, you're mistakenly wrong. You see, we're the calamities of Kaido, pretty much. Obviously, Jack the Drought. We find out what a King's, I guess, whole phrase is. It's King the Wildfire, and then obviously it's Queen the Poison or something like that. I forgot what it is. Or no, Queen the Plague. My bad, not Poison, Plague. And pretty much he goes on like, we're the three calamities that serve under Kaido. You really think you can defeat us? Man, get the hell out of here. It's a lost cause. It's not worth it. You ain't gonna defeat us, pretty much. But Sanji and Zoro, obviously, even before this whole monologue that Queen gave, you get the common thing about Sanji and Zoro just bickering back and forth, saying like, what the hell did you do that, Moss Head? Oh, please shut up, you freaking stupid cook and everything. So you get that funny banter between, but they know they got to work together in a way to defeat the enemies ahead of them, because they make the mention, because Zoro makes the mention, he's like, so hey, what happens if I win? And pretty much Sanji's like, yeah, that pretty much would mean we'd be seeing into the future that Luffy will become king of the pirates, huh? So yeah, anyways, also Sanji makes the mention, I think I forgot to make a mention of this earlier, but Sanji makes a mention like, I don't know what's going on with my body, because Zoro's like, what the hell's wrong with you? And he's like, I don't know, my body's been all weird since I put my raid suit on for the third damn time. I don't know why my body's acting up. It's all weird and everything. So yeah, it's pretty much interesting from the fact, the fighting starts between King and Queen versus Sanji and Zoro. Queen again makes the mention of the fact, he's like, you're Judge's son. I heard your siblings were cyborgs. I heard Judge created cyborg children. And Queen actually makes a pretty damn good point, which it kind of goes over your head a bit, but then when you actually remember, you're like, wait a second, Queen actually makes a good point. The point Queen makes, he's like, so just thinking about it, Judge made cyborgs, or my cyborgs, but they're not technically cyborgs. They're Sanji and his siblings are obviously modified human beings and everything. But he makes mention, he's like, if that's the case, why the hell does your freaking leg just light on fire like that? And now Sanji declines, saying, I'm not no damn cyborg. I'm 100% human, because obviously he believes the whole defect with his mom taking the whole poison and everything affected him. And he's like, it don't matter. I can burn whatever I want to burn and everything. So I'm nothing like them, and that's kind of thing. But when you think about it, it's interesting the fact that it's like, wait a second. Well, when you see Queen bring this up, as a viewer, you're gonna be like, wait a second. That's right. This entire time, every time he uses Diable Jambe, his leg always lights up with fire. Why is that? So maybe that has something to do with the fact that, well, guess what? He still is, Sanji still is a modified, in a way, person, due to Judge's whole creations and everything he did. So it still makes the thing, it still makes sense of the fact, like, Sanji must still have some of the modified, being in him. He isn't 100% human, because, well, it answers the, Queen throws up a good question. He's like, well, then how the hell is your leg freaking on fire, bro? It will make absolutely no sense. So yeah, but anyways, Queen's like, well, whatever, I don't freaking give a crap. I don't care about the cyborgs or anything. I'm gonna show you the true power of a cyborg, something that even Vegapunk can't even create, which I won't spoil away things in the manga, but right now the manga does dive into Vegapunk stuff, but that'll be for another time when we get to the anime. But yeah, you have the clash in between King and Zoro, and then Queen and Sanji and things like that. So yeah, but in the meantime, Kawamatsu, they end up on others' captors. They end up getting involved. Well, it's really just what's his face? It's Izo. Izo, he ends up getting Marco, and he's like, Marco, we're on the battlefield. You can't be dozing off now. And he's like, oh, don't worry, I'm just taking a little bit of rest break. But Kawamatsu runs into Old Man Hio, and pretty much they make the mention of like, well, Zoro seems familiar. The way he fights and the way he takes his stance, it almost reminds me of the old daimyo from the Ringo region. And we get to a flashback where we see this old daimyo next to Onimaru, the wolf, pretty much. And we pretty much find out through this dialogue that his name was Shimotsuki Ushimaru. And where we just see the silhouette, he looks awfully similar. This guy looks awfully similar to Zoro. They also make Hio and Kawamatsu make the mention, is like, yeah, Shimotsuki Ushimaru was, related to Shimotsuki Ryuma. And they make the mention is like, well, Ryuma also had one eye, cut, or slashed and everything, which is similar to that of Zoro. So it seems like Zoro has ties or some sort of weird heritage back to Wano. So it seems like Zoro's family line may have actually came from Wano, just from that alone. And if that's the case, well, remember, he had Shunsui, which was Ryuma's old sword. They make a mention, Old Man Hio and Kawamatsu make a mention of the fact, like, if that's the case, then that's kind of some weird kind of type of fate right then and there, and everything. So yeah, and also we find out Kawamatsu, he just let Hiyori give Enma away to Zoro and everything, and that was kind of the reason why. But it's actually pretty interesting, because it's like, well, okay, does that mean that Zoro is actually, his heritage starts from Wano? Because that's obviously been a freaking theory that, Zoro, his family origins ties back to Wano. It would make sense. He's pretty much a samurai in a way. He's a swordsman, and he's very adept at being a swordsman. It would only make sense if that's the case. And again, it seems seemingly enough, the facial features, the way the characters Ryuma and Shimotsuki Ushimaru, they look similar to Zoro. So that's obviously a theory. Will that theory come true? Who knows? Maybe Oda will have to answer that at some point in time, and then the SBS. So yeah. But we end the episode off, obviously focusing back on Luffy. Luffy, after pretty much deflating himself, he's like, all right, I got to get up there. All right, Momo. All right, if you transform into a dragon and pretty much you have it to where Shinobu's like, Momonosuke is right here. And you just see this smoke, and then you just see red eyes light up. You see nothing. Episode ends, and you just see the look on Luffy's face. He's like, ah. So next week, if you watch the next episode preview, we're gonna get Momonosuke's new reveal, or his new dragon reveal now, because if he's bigger and he's older, you would have to think, well, guess what? His dragon form must be that bigger, and if anything similar to that of Kaido, because remember, he had pretty much kind of a replica devil fruit of Kaido. So that's kind of the thing there. Yeah, but anyways, solid episode of One Piece. Great way to start the year off for One Piece. Honestly, I watched My Hero Academia earlier today. And one of my issues with today's episode of My Hero Academia, and I know I don't want to do compare and contrasting, one thing I didn't like about My Hero Academia is the fact they had pretty much half the episode of a whole recap, and it's like, I know the story, guys. I remember from 2 weeks ago. It's cool. One Piece, yes, last week they had a recap episode. The last few weeks they had a recap episode, but even then, hey, we got completely new content. I like that. I enjoy it. So, yes, but anyways, if you guys, I'm gonna get out of here, but good solid episode. I enjoyed it. Can't wait for next week. If you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this week's episode of One Piece, as well as hit the subscribe button if you want to get more One Piece content or any other anime content I upload to the channel. I know there was a lot of animes that came out today that I did not talk about, I did not review, like for example, Nier Automata, what is it? Tokyo Revengers. I wanted to review saving 8,000 coins, anime and everything. Those reviews will kind of be split up around the day tomorrow, maybe cutting into Monday, because actually when I think about it, I actually have to do my 2 manga chapter reviews for Black Clover and My Hero Academia. So expect, I think, Tokyo Revengers review to come tomorrow. I'm actually gonna go watch that episode right now, but look forward to that. Nier, and then the one anime, the 8,000 isekai show, 8,000 coin isekai show. Expect that probably Monday. Maybe Nier might drop tomorrow. I don't know. Well, I'll see how I feel, because tomorrow's kind of a big recording day. I not only have to record the manga chapter reviews, I'm more than likely gonna have to record Tokyo Revengers, because I'm gonna be too lazy to stay up late and review the show tonight and just have it uploaded. And then I'm also gotta talk and record the video for the last Chicago Bears game of the season. So big recording day for me today, like it was in a way, or tomorrow in a way like it was for me today. But if you're wondering, oh, I thought you were gonna talk about Nier Automata, Tokyo Revengers, yada yada yada. Yes, I will talk about those shows. They're gonna be pushed back a few days later, because I don't want to go crazy on my uploads and upload like damn near 5-6 videos in one day. I think 3 is enough for today, even though this is ending off the night. But anyways, guys, catch you guys next video. Till then, guys, stay safe out there and have a great rest of your day or night. Peace.